Hey, everybody, welcome to episode 8 of Hooked on Sonics. We're your hosts, Tony Orlando and Dawn.
Tony, Orlando, and Don.
That's right.
At least the first part of my name is right. I gotta go check my birth certificate.
That's right. How are you?
Dude, that's been running around like a madman, buddy. Running around like a madman.
Absolutely. So this week we are reviewing LL Cool J's Bigger and Deffer album and Albert King and Stevie Ray Vaughan's In Session. Really excited about this episode for sure.
Definitely. I think we got some good stuff to talk
about. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely an interesting album, to say the least. But we'll talk about that later. Yeah, we'll get to that in a bit. In the meantime, we've been listening to this week.
I went down a Grand Funk Railroad rabbit hole.
Nice. That's a good rabbit hole to go down. You know, Sonic Flower takes a lot of influence.
I can totally see that.
Yeah. And that's probably why you really dig those dudes.
It really meshed together. You know who's touring with Grand Funk Railroad for the last 15 years?
Who's that?
Bruce Kulick.
Really?
Yep. He's been their guitarist for, well, ever since he left Kiss. Really.
Nice.
Yep. What about you? What have you been jamming off to?
Dude, I haven't had a lot of time to listen to anything. Of course, I always explore stuff when I can. I had a little bit of time today before the show because I had already listened to the album. And I was checking out a band called Heavy Temple. Doom stoner band, something out of I think Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I really like it. I'm going to check out another one of their. I think they've only got like 2 albums and a few EPs. I'm going to check those out, and I'm probably going to buy them. You know, just because I'd enjoyed it enough to keep on listening to it. And Bandcamp's really good for getting good prices on the artist material. You know, especially dude, I love Bandcamp, man.
See, I'm more of a physical. I gotta have physical copies.
I don't have room for it. Do you see? I don't have room for it.
Make room.
Oh, dude, I just don't have room. I don't even have a record player to play that Sleep album, dude. But the good news is,
that's easily fixed.
Third Man just announced they're going to release a digital, not digital, but a CD release and I think they're doing a cassette release for that Dope Smoker re-release, which is really, really sweet. How many cassettes you owned back in the day?
A lot.
I did too.
So I'll tell you a quick story. So I had so many cassettes. I had some CDs, but it's mainly cassettes. And I had them all lined up on my bedroom wall in those big old cassette, holders. And I used to keep money in there. That's where I'd store all my money and stuff because I didn't like banks. Well, anyway, I had a girlfriend who we both know that she got jealous of my tape collection. So she broke into my house, stole all my cassettes, took and didn't even realize I had money in it. She just sold them to like the pawn shop. So the pawn shop got all my cassettes plus all my money.
Wow.
Yep.
Was that Christina?
No. That was old number 1.
Ouch.
Old Faithful.
That's brutal, man.
Yes, sir.
Not to point any fingers or anything. We ain't saying no names too live on air. The one I mentioned, I don't care about. So fuck them. With that being said, yeah, Heavy Temple, man. They're pretty good. I'm digging them. Grand Funk. always been a Grand Funk fan. As a matter of fact,
Mhm.
man, speaking of stuff along those lines, how do you feel about the group, the band?
I really enjoy the band.
Now, have you ever seen The Last Waltz?
Not in its entirety. Shame on me.
Shame on you, but I will tell you something. Here in Columbus, once a year, I believe it is, at the Newport Music Hall, I believe some local musicians get together and they do a tribute to The Last Waltz. I've taken my
I do
dad
remember
once.
that. Yep.
Dude, I took my dad once and it was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. He was literally out of his seat rocking.
Hell
I
yeah.
got pictures of that old man, six hip replacements and a going at
Hell
it.
yeah.
You know how that is.
Hell yeah.
He was rocking, dude. It was a good time. Okay, I think I did that for his birthday. So we had a really, really good time. It was a hell of an experience, even for locals. I mean, but most of those guys are gone, and I don't think too many of them are around. At least the main singers are. Lee Von
No, I
Helm's been
think
gone for a few years, dude.
yeah.
And
And
then
Robbie's
Robbie
still
Robert.
around, I think.
You know, wasn't
No,
Robbie Robinson the one that sang "It Makes No Difference"?
I think so.
Yeah, I think he's gone, dude.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Yeah. Have you ever
I don't
heard the
wish it upon
stuff?
him. I think he is, man. But,
Yeah.
yeah,
Have you
that
ever heard the
sucks.
stuff they did with Bob Dylan?
Oh, of course.
Oh,
I mean,
beautiful.
dude, I like a lot of Dylan stuff, man, but it's just not something I seek out. You know,
Yeah. He's a hit or miss for me.
it's
He's got some phenomenal albums and then he's got some shit.
kind of
Shit.
like that's kind of like a Tom Waits situation for me. I like a lot of Tom Waits stuff, man, but then there's some of it I'm not into.
Yeah.
You like Waits?
Some.
What's the name of that
He's
album?
good in
Rain
small
Dogs.
doses.
Rain Dogs
Huh?
is that the big album? Rain
Rain
Dogs.
Dogs is a good one.
Yeah.
Rain Dogs is a good one.
Yeah.
So what are you drinking in that contraption over there?
Well, I'm just getting my whistle wet for something special.
Ah,
What are you drinking?
well, I made me something special. I made some peanut butter and jelly.
Screwball and some cheer wine?
No, Bird Dog peanut butter whiskey, cranberry juice, and triple sec.
Tastes like peanut butter and jelly.
Pretty damn close. And of course, I got to have it in my collector's Captain Morgan's cup.
Peanut butter, whiskey, triple sec, and cranberry.
Yep. Tastes just like peanut butter and jelly.
Even parts?
No. So whiskey is 2 ounces. Triple sec is a teaspoon. Cranberry juice is 1 ounce. Shake and pour.
Interesting. When I had peanut butter whiskey as a peanut butter and jelly shot, I think they served it with cheer wine, but I've never been able to get the mix right.
Hmm. So yeah, I'll definitely reshare that with you. What is that?
So this is one that's a little tough to find. Everybody's always searching for it. This is Colonel E.H. Taylor bottled in bond. Means it's bonded bourbon, 100 proof, uh, Asian on the property with a federally bonded warehouse. I don't break this one out too often because it is one of the harder ones to find. I'm not as big a fan of it as some of Buffalo Trace's other bourbons, but she's all right. Other people like her a lot. You know, everything's subjective, right? So
Yes. Salute.
blasphemy in a Jack Daniels glass, salute, salute, salute. But yeah, not something I break out often. It's a nice one, don't get me wrong. I love bottled or bonded bourbons, but I when it comes to Buffalo Trace, man, so far my favorite's been the Eagle Rare and the Eagle Rare Blanton's and Weller Red, and that's only because I haven't gotten to try too much other stuff. But I really, really, really of all of them, I like the Eagle Rare.
Good deal. Well, you want to move on to music news? He
Well,
does.
yeah. Ooh,
Smooth.
ooh, that's smooth.
Ooh.
That'll get you in the gotcha. My buddy Dylan told me that one night, and I've used that here and there.
I
But
love it.
yeah, music news. Go for it. What do you got?
Yeah. So obviously, the biggest news that I've seen is the tragic sudden passing of Jeff Beck. Um, he is. This one kind of hit me a little hard. He was always kind of one of my unsung heroes. Where you'd open up Circus Magazine or Hit Parade or whatever, and he would never be mentioned as one of the top 10 guitarists or whatever, but he was the guitarist. So if you talk to a Steve Vai, Eddie Van Halen, Ace Frehley, any of them, they're like, yeah, Jeff Beck was the fucking man. And
You
I
know,
always hated,
I've
huh?
always heard that. I've always heard that.
Yeah.
I've never listened to much of his stuff that I'm aware of, but I understand that he was a hell of a guitar player. Just not
It,
one of those guys that got pushed out to the forefront of the scene.
mhm.
You knew about him and you knew he was great, or you knew nothing. You know,
Yeah. And what was great about him, he stayed relevant. So he was constantly evolving, he was constantly changing through the 90s, through the 2000s. And he was putting out just really, really inventive stuff. So uh passed away from meningitis.
Mm,
So
mm.
so sad. Sad, sad, sad. You got anything?
I do, I do. Speaking of guitarists, since we're going to stay on the relevant with that, can we get those dogs to be quiet, please? Thank you. Thank you.
To be fair, I
So,
couldn't hear him.
okay, I can, and it's a headache at times. So, with that being said,
Mm-hmm.
um, Steve Vai has, after 36 years, reacquired his long lost Swiss cheese guitar, famously seen in the Yankee Rose video for David Lee Roth.
Nice.
36 and a half years it was missing, and it was found in some dude's grandparents' attic. 36 and a half years. And apparently it was in a case and it still looked just as good as the day it left.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you imagine just stumbling on that? Like, I hear this old man, he's got a bunch of, you know, old shoes and shit. What's this? Oh, fuck, it's Steve Vai's flipping guitar.
Well, I think we should just be thankful that he got it back. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
the human being in me wants to go, how'd they end up with that guitar?
Yeah.
Like, how'd they get that and why is it in that attic? How did it land in that attic? I want to know the story of how it got from Vi
Oh, yeah.
to the attic. I want to know that story. That's the
Yep.
more interesting. It's interesting that he got it back. That's great. Thank you. I want to know how it traversed into that attic.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's
Me
what
too.
I've got. I guess
Okay.
Gojira and Mastodon are teamed up for a tour here recently, and
Yeah, I guess up in Ohio, they're coming to Cleveland and Cincinnati.
so if I don't know where they'll be in Cleveland, maybe House of Blues or something like that, but I do know that here at the Ace of Cups, we are getting a show that I'm highly interested in with Elder and a group that I really, really, really love, Ruby the Hatchet. So I'm really hoping I get a couple people together. We'll go see them. Winery Dog Show is coming up here soon at the King of Clubs. King of Clubs got a lot of good shows coming on, man. Had a lot of buddies from the locals play there. Um, yeah, there's a
Sweet.
lot of stuff coming on, man. If you get a chance, take a look at your local music locations with the Promo West people, King of Clubs here in Columbus, which is a great little club, and the um, Ace of Cup. Ace Cup's always doing some pretty under the radar shows, which I really like. I like the Grog Shop in Cleveland. That's becoming one of my favorite places. I've
David Allan
seen,
Coe used to play up there a lot.
yeah, the Grog Shop's really cool, man. It's very small, very intimate, and it's a it's a it's cool, man. That's all I can say. And I'd love to be able to get you in town and take you up to a show there sometime because you'd go, wow, this is it almost reminds you of an upstairs, the basement from the A&R.
Okay.
Not the A&R bar type thing, but
Yeah, no, the bass.
more of a basement feel in
Yeah.
an upstairs location, which is really cool.
I love the basement.
Dude, it's not that's still one of my all time. That is probably I love playing the Newport, don't get me wrong, but the basement is just so much fun. And with Nate on sound, like he
Yeah.
never dogged any of the bands on sound, dude. You know, Nate was a
Nope.
great sound guy. I love that dude. But yeah,
Sweet.
moving on. Let's talk these albums, man. I believe you're up this time.
Oh, I am?
I believe so.
Me?
Yeah. So, and I'm very interested to hear your take on our first hip hop album, right?
Absolutely. So I got LL Cool J's Bigger and Deffer, released May 29th, 1987. It spent 11 weeks at Billboard's #1 position.
11 weeks.
11 weeks. This this album had 2 singles. It was I'm Bad, and then the first successful rap ballad, I Need Love.
Yes.
Yep.
And
And
he got
I'm
a
going
lot
to
of
get,
flack for that, dude.
as he should have.
What?
That song is easily the worst song on this album, and it's not even close.
No way.
This is the trashiest crap song. It's up there. It's up there with some crap. It's bad. I hated
You're
it.
out of
Hated
your
it.
mind.
Hated
Dude.
it. Hated it.
That is
The video was even
dude, you are
worse.
going to get a lot of backlash from that, man. Don't
That
let the
good.
fans hear you
Bring
say
it.
that too loud.
You compare I Need Love to Bristol Hotel, and you tell me that I Need Love is on the same level? Get out of here. Get out of here.
I take it you like the Bristol.
Bristol Hotel is probably my favorite song on that album.
It's a great song, dude.
Probably my favorite song on there.
The one you mentioned
And
with Brass
also,
and the
I didn't
Taz
know.
is pretty good. The breakdown at the
Yeah, I
end.
was gonna
Yeah, the
say.
breakdowns really good. Dude,
I
and I'll
don't
be
think.
honest with you, even though the track produced 2 great singles, and I Need Love is the bigger single. Okay. It
Yeah.
was a huge thing. It was a huge thing. And he got a lot of shit for that, dude. Even Ice-T was bad all over LL Cool J and his shit, dude, because that wasn't purveying the message of the streets, and that's what hip hop was at that point in time. You know,
Yeah.
relaying the message of the streets. But
Yep.
this ain't no. Hey, I need a baby thing. No, it was. He got a lot of shit for that, but he made a lot of money from that tune too, dude.
Yep.
But I'm gonna have to say this. I'm Bad, I think would have been the bigger single had the times been different. And I also think there was a lot of really missed opportunities for some good singles off that album. You know,
Yep.
the doo-wop being one of them, man, that's a real lesson in spitting fire right there, dude.
Yep.
You know?
To me, the breakthrough had a great message.
Mm-hmm.
Great message, like, yo, get off the flipping streets, stay off the drugs.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And there wasn't a whole lot of guys saying that shit right back then.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and this really took me back. I was when this came out, I was not into LL Cool J at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't in my wheelhouse. So, I was more into Curtis Blow,
Cool Mo D.
Yep, Cool Mo D. Oh shit, It Takes Two. Ron Bass. I was into that. Yep. So LL Cool J wasn't even on my radar, but listening to this, I was like, this is what I miss about rap.
Yeah. Real MCs,
Yeah,
guys that
yeah,
know how to put together and put together a great set of bars and
yep,
create a killer, and a lot of those beats didn't have a ton of frills
yeah,
back in that day. There you had some scratching, and you had some stuff, man, but a lot of those beats didn't have a ton of frills. You didn't, I don't think even back in that time frame, you started getting the bass drops that started to come in when people started over the cars in the late early 90s, late 80s that had the bass systems in. I don't think any of the hip hop back then had that kind of those
nope,
bass drops going in at that point in time. So yeah, you had that you didn't have that. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. So I got very nostalgic listening to this album. Um, so some of the other great songs to me was "My Rhyme Ain't Done." It's a silly
Oh,
song. It's just silly, but dude, it's so good.
dude, and you listen to all the names he drops and things he does in there.
Yeah,
Yeah, dude, I
just
told
yeah.
you it's a lesson in
Bust
hip
out
hop.
He Man. When's the last time you got a good He Man reference? Hell
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, to me, just a really good album. Um, again, there is nothing you can do to convince me that I Need Love should have pushed this thing. There's so many other great songs on this album. I don't
This
get it.
song's got me laid a dozen times, dude.
I don't get it.
I karaoke that shit, panties fall off. Ah,
Now I definitely will never hear that song again the same way.
never.
Mm.
So what are you gonna give the album, man?
I think I'm going to give this album. I'm going to give it an 8. To me, he had some really solid rhymes, but it's just a little bit missing on there. Again, he's as compared to other guys that I like. I really liked Ice T. I really like Easy E. I mean, completely different for sure. But I got to give this album a lot of respect. And Bristol Hotel, what the hell? I'll give it an 8.5. I give it an extra half just because the Bristol Hotel is that damn good.
That's a
Now,
raunchy song, dude. All
I
right, man.
totally want.
Go ahead.
No, I totally want to Google Maps see if Bristol Hotel in Jamaica Queens is still
A thing.
around.
Yeah. Well, we got a little less than 10 minutes to go, so I'll go ahead and review mine real quick. Me personally, um, I would give that LL Cool J album just because I'm very biased and he's one of my favorite hip hop artists of all time. A 9. It'd get a
Okay.
9 for me. Um, Moving on to In Session with the Albert King album with Stevie Ray Vaughan. Now I got to sit down and listen to this, and it sounded like it was a good mix of what would have been some Vaughn tunes and some Albert King tunes, if I'm correct.
Yep.
And I'll be honest with you, um, the album's good, but it's just not something I'm listening to again. And that's being honest. If I want to hear Stevie Ray Vaughan, I don't know that I want to hear him talking and hanging out with somebody and them talking about the good old days and whatever and needing to change strings and stuff. That didn't work for me. Those were the
Mm-hmm.
aspects of the album that didn't work for me. Don't get me wrong, are the two great guys? Yeah, but there's just nothing on this album that makes me go, I really want to run it. Like some of these tracks, like that Blues at Sunrise, that's a 15-minute track of it's just boring. And I don't mean with that with disrespect. It's just a boring track.
Hmm.
Um, if I had to pick a standout track, I think it's the first track on the album, maybe. Call It Stormy Monday.
Oh yeah,
I thought that was pretty
Tuesday's just as
cool.
bad
Huh?
because Tuesday's just as bad.
Yeah, I mean, and then I think I liked, another standout track would have probably been Don't Lie to Me, but that might have been
Yeah.
just the thrill of the fact that the album was getting ready to end. So, I mean, like I said,
Wow.
no disrespect to the album, no disrespect to the artist. This was just a very hard album for me to go, yeah, this is great. I want to listen to this again. I don't see me listening.
Now let
I
me
just,
tell you why I go back to this album. I
mhm.
like that banter between the old man and the new kid coming up. I love that connection. I love that playing off of each other where Albert King, who's a great guitar player, and Stevie does one of his little fills that, he just comes out of nowhere and Albert's like, yeah, 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 do that again. I like that. Give me a little more of that. And he just lets Stevie breathe. Just let Stevie be Stevie. And I love that. I
Dude,
love
I
that.
get,
And
I
I
get
love
it,
Albert
man.
King's voice. Love Albert King's voice.
I get it, but I'm going to be honest with you. As opposed to the previous blues album you gave me,
Hmm.
I would probably check out the other one a few times
Yeah.
more than I would this. This was just a very boring album to me, and that's just how I see it.
Yeah.
I had time. I sat and I listened to it. I examined it thoroughly, and I just could not get excited about anything on this album. Like
Mm.
I was looking like at Blues at
Wow.
Sunrise. I was about halfway through Blues at Sunrise. I'm like, man, how long is this fucking song? Because this is not what I want to be doing today. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like it was just not for me. And
Wow.
I can listen to long songs, dude. You know that. You know that. I
Mm.
listen to hour long epics,
Mm.
but this was just not an album for me. So um two standout tracks, Call It Stormy Monday and Don't Like It.
Yep.
And I'm going to give this album 6.5.
Woof. Oof.
6.5
Oof.
just on the fact of listening to it. If I had to give it a rating on the fact of the musicianship that was on it, I mean, you'd have to give it a nice 9 because there's great musicians on the album and they're well-known blues players. But for someone that, if I were, let's just put it like this, if I were going to introduce somebody to the blues, this is not the album I would
Mm.
do.
Mm. Mm. I
And
could I couldn't disagree more.
that's my, hey, that's what this is
I
about.
love it. I
That's
know
what
it.
this is about. So let's get on because we got less than 5 minutes. Let's get on to what albums we're recommending next week.
Okay. What are you recommending me?
You want yours first?
Yeah.
I am returning the favor for the first episode. So I hope you got time. I hope you've got time. You, sir, are getting the Talking Heads Stop Making Sense. This is
I
actually a
love
live
Talking
show
Heads.
and a live album. And I am going to tell you this. The concept, if I remember correctly, was David Byrne came out with an acoustic guitar and a cassette player to start the show. Every song afterwards, another member or two would come out. And then eventually by
Okay.
the end of the show, they had this big production going. So if you could see, if you like what you hear and you want to see what goes on, check that out. I would also mention that some of the takes of some of the tracks that you're familiar with are some of the most amazing you will ever hear. Do not be alarmed when you hear Psycho Killer first. That doesn't sound right.
Oh, is that the acoustic version?
Yep.
The real slow acoustic version? I love it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's your album for next week. It's a long
Sweet.
listen. It's a long listen if I send you the link on YouTube, but it's a heck of a dude. You know I love the heads.
Good.
I want your album.
Good. Okay. I am introducing you to one of my favorite Jeff Beck albums, live with the Jan Hammer Group.
Jeff Beck with the Jan
With the
Hammer,
Jan Hammer Group.
and I can find that on YouTube.
Absolutely.
And you'll be able to hear what I have for you on YouTube. So What's the purpose behind this? Just because I don't have a frame of reference with Jeff Beck and you trying to turn me on?
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's he was a great collaborator. So all the musicians on here were just phenomenal. He was not a singer, so you know, a couple different voices on here. The musicianship is on this is just phenomenal, and just gives you a really decent taste of the mode that Jeff Beck was in 1977, which is completely different than what he was when he was with the Yardbirds in '68. But it's just the steady progression, and I really hope you like it because it's a cool album.
Good deal. Good deal. Well, with that being said, it looks like we have our homework due for us,
How about that?
and um, we haven't been getting too much of a response on questions, so we won't ask a question this week. But please hit that like, subscribe, and leave a comment if you like. Other than that, Bruce, I guess I will see you next week. Cheers, my friend.
Salute.
And we'll get this episode up and have a good night.
Good night, everybody.